The parsha for this week is Beha'alotekha, when you set up. And that comes from Numbers 8, 1, verse 1, to chapter 12, verse 16. And this is the blessing we say before we begin Torah study. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'asok b'devrei Torah. וידבר אדוני אל משה כך אל הלוויים מתוך בני וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל הארון ואמרת אליו בהעלתך את הנרות אל מול פני המנורה, יאירו שבעת hanerot. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and say to him, When you mount the lamps, let the 7 lamps give light at the front of the lampstand.
Psalm 68. Let God arise. Let his enemies be scattered. Let them also that hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, so drive them away. As wax melts before the fire, so let the wicked perish at the presence of God. But let the righteous be glad. Let them rejoice before God. Yea, let them exceedingly rejoice. Sing unto the Lord. Sing praises to his name. Exalt him that rideth upon the heavens by his name, Jehovah, and rejoice before him. A father of the fatherless and a judge of the widows is God in his habitation. God setteth the solitary in families. He brings out those who are bound with chains, but the rebellion dwell in a dry land. This is the word of the Lord. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. May your kingdom come. May your will be done. We give thanks to you, Lord God, for bringing us to another Shabbat, another time to rest from our labor, and to remember the great goodness of God, who delivers and frees. As you delivered your children of Israel out of Egypt, and freed them from the hand of slavery and bondage, and brought to yourself a people in whom you have, who are called by your name, and you, through Christ Lord, through his death on the cross, have redeemed us and made us free as well. And we rejoice on this day, as they rejoice as well, as free men, free souls, to do and to rejoice in God, and to remember his greatness, and to be pleased with being his family. As you have welcomed us into your presence, Lord, we welcome you to be with us this day. For you and the Son and the Spirit have made us free, and one day soon we will be free indeed. This we ask in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Motzi lechem means ha'ar. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who gives bread from the earth. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Berei pri hagafen. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who gives us the fruit of the body. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Alright. Very meaty Torah portion today. And it's divided into, let's see, I think it's 3 sections. If you just give me a minute, I'll tell you. It's divided into the first section is princely and priestly gains, and that's from Numbers 8, 1 through 26. And then the next section is called the second Passover, the cloud and the silver trumpets, and that is from Numbers 9, 1 through 10 through verse 1 through chapter 10 through 10. And then the next section is called the of rebels and prophets, from Numbers 10, 11 through chapter 11, 35, and then the last part is called of prophecy and punishment, Numbers 12, 1 through 16. So we start with princely and priestly things, number 8, 1 through 26. Okay. Okay, please.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron, and say unto him, When thou lightest the lamp, the 7 lamps shall give light over against the candlesticks. And Aaron did so. He lighted the lamps throughout over against the candlesticks, as God had commanded Moses. And this work of the candlesticks was of beaten gold upon the staff thereof, upon the flowers thereof, and was beaten work, according unto the pattern which the Lord had shown Moses. So he made the candlesticks. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Take the Levite from among the children of Israel, and cleanse them. And thus shalt thou do unto them to cleanse them. Sprinkle water of purifying upon them, and let them shave all their flesh, and let them wash their clothes, and so make themselves clean. Then let them take a young bullock with his meat offering, even fine flour mingled with oil, and another young bullock shalt thou take for a sin offering. Thou shalt bring the Levites before the tabernacle of the congregation, and thou shalt gather the whole assembly for the children of Israel together. And thou shalt bring the Levites before the Lord, and the children of Israel shall put their hands upon the Levites. And Aaron shall offer the Levites before the Lord for an offering of the children of Israel. And they shall execute the service of the Lord. And the Levites shall lay their hands upon the heads of the bullock, and thus shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering unto the Lord, to make an atonement for the Levites. And thou shalt set the Levites before Aaron and before his sons, and offer them for an offering unto the Lord. Thus shalt thou separate Levites from among the children of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. And after that shall the Levites go in to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. And thou shalt cleanse them, and offer them for an offering, for they are wholly given unto me from among the children of Israel, instead of such as open every womb, even instead of the firstborn of all the children of Israel, have I taken them unto me. For all the firstborn of the children of Israel are mine, both man and beast, on the day that I smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt. I sanctified them for myself, and I have taken the Levites for all the firstborn of the children of Israel. And I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and to his sons from among the children of Israel, to do the service of the children of Israel in the tabernacle of the congregation, and to make an atonement for the children of Israel, that there be no plague among the children of Israel, when the children of Israel come nigh unto the sanctuary. And Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel did to the Levites according to all that the Lord commanded Moses concerning the Levites. So did the children of Israel unto them. And the Levites were purified, and they washed their clothes, and Aaron offered them as an offering before the Lord. And Aaron made an atonement for them to cleanse them. And after that went the Levites in to do their service in the tabernacle of the congregation before Aaron and before his sons, as the Lord had commanded Moses concerning the Levites, to do unto them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, This is it that belongeth unto the Levites, for 20 and 5 years old and upward. They shall go in to wait upon the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. And from the age of 50 years they shall cease waiting upon the service thereof, and shall serve no more, but shall minister with their brethren in the tabernacle of the congregation, to keep the charge, and shall do no service. Thus shall they do unto the Levites, touching their charge. It's the end of chapter 8.
Okay. Do you want to start out discussion? You have any thoughts?
Well, yes, it's quite a bit here. Sometimes I wonder. But I broke the chapter in 3 sections.
Mm-hmm.
One deals with the lamp and the lighting of the lamp, and one with the Levites, or selecting the Levites to do the service of the tabernacle, and then the last part was the Levite service in the tabernacle. Now, as far as the tabernacle was concerned, I don't know if there was ever talk about the shape of the tabernacle and its dimensions, but one did give a dimension of 45 by 30, the total dimension, but with the Ark of the Covenant covering about 15 by 30. Now that was the section that was where God would rest over the Holy of Holies, and it was that light. God kept that section illuminated by light. The other section, the other section that was 30 by 30, I guess, yeah, 30 by 30, was lit by the candles, or the candle stand, and that was some, let's say, it was a representation of Christ being our light, and that was foreshadowing Christ's lighting up the other section of that tabernacle. Now, the candlestick, I think they also call that the menorah.
Mm-hmm.
And on it, it mentioned something about flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And one commentator mentioned that the flowers represented life in the believers. Let's see, the life of the believer flowers when he is in Christ. So that is showing a type of a connection with Christ being a connection with the believers being part of the branch and receiving of being part of Christ. Well, the second part, when they talked about the Levites, now the Levites represented the congregation. While the priests represented I want to say Jesus, but I'm going to say represented Jesus. I'll stick with that. The priests were consecrated earlier, and the Levites are being consecrated now in this section, where their heads is being shaved and they're washing. It's a symbolic of work, that symbolic of almost like a rebirth, to work in the sanctuary. Even so, these were guys, and they were sinners, and sin offering had to have been made for them. Not only a sin offering was made, but a thanksgiving offering was also made on their behalf. There was a part of the laying on of hand, and what that signified was that the congregation itself was obligated to assist personally in the service, of the sanctuary. So it was more like a transfer from the whole congregation to the Levite to minister inside the. Well, at first it was everyone's responsibility. Let's say to participate in the service of the tabernacle, but that's a lot of people. So what you do, you simply have a certain group do it. And basically by laying their hands on the Levi, they were transferring their responsibility to the Levi to do the service of the church, sanctuary. They were to do God's service, and God's service only. Also, there was a sin offering because they said the Levites were sinners, and they need to be clean as well. Sin offering needs to be made for them. Let's see. And the last part, I did make mention, the first one was to serve the role, but it got changed. The change was noted, where the Levite were to move the tabernacle. Basically, what they did. Certain parts they didn't move, but some of the heavy lifting they did. Now, also the age of the Levites who worked. Actually, they could start at age 25 as opposed to age 30 for the priesthood, but they could do it at age 25, and they basically retired at age 50, or just did some type of honorarial duties, but they didn't do any of the heavy lifting after age 50. That's pretty much what this chapter dealt with, the lampstands or the lamps, the calling of the Levite, I'll say that, and the service that the Levites will be doing.
Good introduction. Very good introduction. I'm not going to expound on that. We'll go to the next section. There, unless you got something you want to say.
So the Levites were the ones that were taking care of the tabernacle? Like stewards of the tabernacle.
Exactly.
No, they didn't do the anything inside the Holy of Holies, just stuff outside the Holy of Holies, at least these Levites. Well, Aaron was a Levite too, but they just did the curtains, the tents, perimeter, the altars, and that kind of thing.
Okay, the next part is entitled The Second Passover, the Cloud, and the Silver Trumpets. And that's from Numbers 9:1 through 10:10. And it says, the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai on the first new moon of the second year following the Exodus in the land of Egypt, saying, let the Israelite people offer the Passover sacrifice at its set time. You shall offer it on the 14th day of this month at the twilight. At its set time you shall offer it in accordance with all its rules and rites. Moses instructed the Israelites to offer the Passover sacrifice, and they offered the Passover sacrifice in the first month on the 14th day of the month at twilight in the wilderness of Sinai, just as the Lord had commanded Moses, so the Israelites did. But there were some men who were unclean by reason of a corpse, and could not offer the Passover sacrifice on that day. Appearing that same day before Moses and Aaron, those men said to them, unclean though we are by reason of a corpse, why must we be disbarred from presenting the Lord's offering at its set time with the rest of the Israelites? Moses said to them, stand by and let me hear what instructions the Lord gives about you. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the Israelite people, saying, when any of you or of your posterity who are defiled by a corpse or are on a long journey would offer a Passover offering to the Lord, they shall offer it in the second month of the 14th day of the month at twilight. They shall eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. And they shall not leave any of it over until morning. They shall not break a bone of it. They shall offer it in strict accord with the law of the Passover sacrifice. But if a man who is clean and not on a journey refrains from offering the Passover sacrifice, that person shall be cut off from his kin, for he did not present the Lord's offering at its set time. that man shall bear his guilt. And when a stranger who resides with you would offer a Passover sacrifice to the Lord, he must offer it in accordance with the rules and rites of the Passover sacrifice. There shall be one law for you, whether stranger or citizen of the country. On the day that the tabernacle was set up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, the tent of the pact, and in the evening it rested over the tabernacle in the likeness of fire until morning. It was always so. The cloud covered it, appearing as fire by night. And whenever the cloud lifted from the tent, the Israelites would set out accordingly. And at the spot where the cloud settled, there the Israelites would make camp. On a sign from the Lord, the Israelites broke camp, and on a sign from the Lord they made camp. They remained in camp as long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle. When the cloud lingered over the tabernacle many days, the Israelites observed the Lord's mandate and did not journey on. At such times as the cloud rested over the tabernacle for but a few days, they remained in camp on a sign from the Lord and broke camp on a sign from the Lord. And at such times as the cloud stayed from evening until morning, they broke camp as soon as the cloud lifted in the morning. Day or night, whenever the cloud lifted, they would break camp. Whether it was 2 days or a month or a year, however long the cloud lingered over the tabernacle, the Israelites remained in camp and did not set out. Only when it lifted did they break camp. On a sign from the Lord they made camp, and on a sign from the Lord they broke camp. They observed the Lord's mandate at the Lord's bidding through Moses. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Have 2 silver trumpets made. Make them of hammered work. They shall serve you to summon the community and to set the divisions in motion. When both are blown in long blasts, the whole community shall assemble before you at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. And if only one is blown, the chieftains, heads of Israel's contingents, shall assemble before you. But when you sound short blasts, the divisions are encamped on the east side shall move forward. And when you sound short blast a second time, those encamped on the south shall move forward. Thus short blasts shall be blown for setting them in motion. While to convoke the congregation you shall blow long blasts, not short ones. The trumpets shall be blown by Aaron's sons, the priests. This shall be for you an institution for all time throughout the ages. When you are at war in your own land against an aggressor who attacks you, you shall sound short blasts on the trumpets, that you might be remembered before the Lord your God and be delivered from your enemies. And on your joyous occasions, your fixed festivals and new moon days, you shall sound the trumpets over your burnt offerings and your sacrifices of well-being. They shall be a reminder of you before the Lord your God. I am the Lord your God." As I was reading this, what stood out to me, and I'll go back and start the beginning of my notes, but what stood out to me while reading this again, God is reiterating that on a sign from the Lord, they make camp. And on a sign from the Lord, they broke camp. And it's over and over again. And it says the Lord spoke to Moses, telling him when to do this. But again, it's a sign from the Lord, and Moses interprets it and lets them know when to set out and when to make camp. What I thought was interesting when it's talked about the men who wanted to make the Passover but they were unclean, that desire, therefore the Passover, making that offering must be important, that they would go before Moses and ask him, could they do it? Could an occasion be made for them to do it? And that's when they set up, God said for them to do it on the second month, if they were defiled by a corpse or on a long journey. But then it also says that you should try and do it at the set time, which is the first month of the year, because not to do it, you will incur guilt. If you don't do it, if you're able to do it on that first month and you don't do it, you will incur guilt. So I thought that was a very interesting passage. And then in verse 14 it says, it addresses the stranger, and it says there's one law for Israel and one law for the stranger. So the stranger must offer the Passover offer with in the rules and regulations that Israel does. And the blast of the trumpets, that reminds me of Revelations, that there's nothing new under the sun, that in Revelations it said before Jesus returns there will be a loud blast. Well, these blasts of their various significance to the blast of the trumpets, and they go into that. I won't go in again, but it is to call to assembly. And so that trumpet, that last trump, when we hear that last trump, that Jesus is calling us to assembly, as Revelations talks about. So those are the things I found interesting about this particular section. Anybody else?
One commentator mentioned about the silver trumpet, and he gave an explanation what the silver represented. I can't remember what it represented. I didn't make a note of it. But the trumpet sound was made for a couple reasons, as you mentioned. For alarm, war, and rejoicing. And I was thinking it was also, when they blow the trumpet, they're acknowledging they're acknowledging God when they do these things, or when war is about to happen, or they're in war, or an alarm of some kind. They acknowledge God.
Yes.
And they're acknowledging their reliance upon Him. That any rejoicing, any deliverance comes from Him. That was the only comment I had about chapter 10.
Well, I like that too, about the blast where it says, there's a song that says, let God arise and let your enemies be scattered. When that trumpet,
Right.
if that's to call Israel to battle, but I'm going to say this, that God doesn't need it. He neither slumbers nor sleeps, but it is to put God on notice. I'll say that it's not to awaken Him, but that blast, and also it scares the enemy. Can you imagine hearing a blast like that? It would scare you senseless. I mean, the blast, a really loud blast. Is when God spoke to Israel, or wanted to speak to them that first time, was it a blast or a rumbling that they heard, Israel heard from the mountain? And when they heard it, it scared them. And that's when they told Moses, we don't want God to talk to us. You talk to us, because it scared them. So can you imagine a blast from the, I like to use the analogies, when a blast from His nostrils, the blast from the nostrils of God would send anybody scattering, would frighten anybody. So that this has great significance again to end time. When that blast, we hear that final trump, that final sound, that Jesus is ready to return to the earth. So there's precedence for that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, if no one has anything else, we're going to take a break here before we go to the next part, which is called of rebels and prophets, and then the last part of prophecy and punishment. And those two sections, I think, are really, really interesting. That we'll find out a lot of things in those sections. Okay. Alrighty. Okay.
And it came to pass on the 20th day of the second month, In the second year that the cloud was taken up from off the tabernacle of the testimonies. And the children of Israel took their journey out of the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud rested in the wilderness of Paran. And they first took their journey according to the commandments of the Lord by the hands of Moses. In the first place went the standard of the camp of the children of Judah, according to their armies, and over his host was Nashon, the son of Aminadab, and over the host of the tribe of the children of Issachar was Naphtali, the son of Zuar, and over the host of the tribe of the children of Zebulun was Eliab, the son of Helon. The tabernacle was taken down, and the sons of Gershon, the sons of Merari, set forward, bearing the tabernacle. And the standard of the camp of Reuben set forward according to their armies, and over their host was Elizur, the son of Shedeur. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Simeon was Shelum min El, the son of Jerushadai. And over the host of the tribes of the children of Gad was Eli Asaph, and the son of Beulah. And the Kohathites set forward, bearing the sanctuary, and the others did set up the tabernacle against they came. And the standard of the camp of the children of Ephraim set forward according to their armies. And over their hosts was Elishama, the son of Ammihud, Ammihud. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Manasseh was Gamaliel, the son of Pedahzur. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Benjamin was Abinadab, and the son of Gadiel. And the standard of the camps of the children of Dan set forward, which was the rewarded of all the camps throughout their host. And over his host was Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Asher was Paguel, the son of Okran. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Naphtali was Ahira, the son of Enan. Thus were the journey of the children of Israel according to their armies when they set forward. And Moses said unto Hodab, the son of Rehuel, the son of Midianites, Moses' father-in-law, we are journeying into the place of which the Lord said, I will give it you. Come thou with us, and we shall do thee, and we will do thee good. for the Lord has spoken good concerning Israel. And he said unto him, I will not go, but I will depart to mine own land and to my kindred. And he said, Leave us not, I pray thee, for as much as thou knowest how we are encamped in the wilderness, and thou mightest be with us instead of eyes. And it shall be, if thou go with us, yea, it shall be that what goodness the Lord shall do unto us, the same we do unto thee. And they departed from the mount of the Lord 3 days' journey. And the ark of the covenant of the Lord went before them in the 3 days' journey to search out a resting place for them. And the cloud of the Lord was upon them by day when they went out of the camp. And it came to pass when the ark set forth that Moses said, Rise up, Lord, and let thine enemies be scattered, and let them that hate thee flee before thee. And when it rested, he said, Return, O Lord, upon the many thousands of Israel. Continue.
Yeah, you go to, you got a ways to go.
And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burned against them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And the people cried unto Moses, and when Moses prayed, unto the Lord, the fire was quenched. And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burnt among them. And the mixed multitude that were among them fell a lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again and said, Who shall give us flesh to eat? We remember the fish which we ate in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks, and the onions and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There is nothing at all besides this manna before our eyes. And the manna was a coriander seed, and the color thereof as the color of bedulum. And the people went about and gathered it, and ground it into meal, or beat it into a mortar, and baked it in the pan, and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was as the taste of fresh oil. And when the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell upon it. Then Moses heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent. And the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly. Moses also was displeased. And Moses called upon the Lord, Wherefore hast thou afflicted thy servant? And wherefore have I not found favor in thy sight, that thou layest the burden of all these people upon me? Have I conceived all these people? Have I begotten them, that thou shouldest say unto me, Carry them in thy bosom, as a nursing father bears the suckling child? unto the land which thou swearest unto their fathers. Whence shall I have flesh to give unto all these people? For they weep unto me, saying, Give us flesh, that we may eat. I am not able to bear all this people alone. Behold, it is too heavy for me. And if thou deal thus with me, kill me, I pray thee, out of hand. If I have found favor in thy sight, let me not see my wretchedness. And the Lord said unto Moses, Gather unto thee 70 people of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be the elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them into the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with thee. And I will come down and talk with thee there, and I will take of the Spirit which is upon thee, and will put it upon them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with thee, that thou bearest not thyself alone. And say thou unto the people, Sanctify yourselves against tomorrow, and ye shall eat flesh. For ye have wept in the ears of the Lord, saying, Who shall give us flesh to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give you flesh, and ye shall eat. Ye shall not eat 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, neither 10 days, nor 20 days, but even a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils, and it will be loathsome unto you, because thou hast displeased the Lord, which is among you, and have wept before him, saying, Why came we forth out of Egypt? And Moses said, The people among whom I am are 6,000 footmen, and thou hast said, I will give them flesh, that they may eat a whole month. Shall the flocks and the herd be slain for them, to suffer them, to suffice them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them, to suffice them? And the Lord said unto Moses, Is the Lord's hand waxed short, that thou shalt see not whether my word shall come to pass unto thee or not? And Moses went out and told the people the words of the Lord, and gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people, and set them around about the tabernacle. And the Lord came down in a cloud, and spake unto him, and took of the Spirit that was upon him, and gave it upon the 70 elders. And it came to pass that when the Spirit rested upon them, they prophesied, and did not cease. But there remained 2 of the men in the camp. The name of one was Eldad, and the other name was Medad. And the Spirit rested upon them. And they were of them that were written, but were not unto the. And they were of them that were written, but went not out unto the tabernacle, and they prophesied in the camp. And there ran a young man and told Moses, and said, Eldad and Medad do prophesy in the camp. And Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, one of his young men, answered and said, my Lord Moses forbid them. And Moses said unto them, innovate?
I'm not sure. We've got two different translations.
Okay. Thou that for my sake, which Lord, would God that all the people, excuse me. And Moses said unto him,
Just keep going. Just keep going.
that thou, that for my sake, would God that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit upon them. And Moses gat him into the camp, he and the elders of Israel. And there went forth a wind from the Lord, and brought quails from the sea, and let them fall by the camp, as it were a day's journey on their side, and as it were a day's journey on the other side, around about the camp, and as it were 2 cubits high upon the face of the earth. And the people stood up all that day, and all that night, and all the next day, and they gathered quail. He that gathered least gathered 10 homers, and he that gathered them all abroad for themselves around about the camp. And while the flesh was yet between the teeth, it was chewed, the wrath of the Lord was kindled against the people. And the Lord smote the people with a very great plague. And he called the name of that place Kibroth Hattaavah, because there they buried the people that lusted. And the peoples journeyed from Kibroth Hattaavah unto Hazeroth, and abode at Hazeroth.
Okay, that's the end of that sentence.
That was longer than I thought.
Yeah.
It seems like, you know how Moses didn't make it to the promised land? It seems it started at that point where he started doubting God. Even though the people were, but he should have been stronger not to fall in those steps of those people were, because he was a prophet. And then God, okay, it's okay. You want it? Give it to him. All you want.
Gave it all to him, did it?
He's going to give it to you, but you know, he said you're going to have so much to eat, it's going to be coming after you. And they're like, oh, how does it not stop? But you asked for it. You asked for it.
The part that throws me, and I couldn't find one commentator that didn't mention it, but didn't they have 70 elders earlier? Why did they get 2 new 70 elders?
How do you know that it was 2 new second?
I don't know. Well,
Maybe something like
well, he said he needed help for some to carry the burden.
But maybe it was. I'm just throwing something out at you. Maybe when the other 70 elders that went up to the mountain with him, I don't think they said anything about giving them part of his spirit. They just went up to the mountain and ate with God.
Right.
These 70, and it could have been the same 70, that he's giving them something new to help deal with the situation. Part of Moses' spirit.
Oh, okay. Now I was thinking about the other, when his father-in-law gave him some advice that, you need to pick people to work with you.
I think
But
it
those
was
still
different.
didn't get his spirit. Okay.
Yeah.
Part of different.
Yeah, that was merely interpreting the law on them, but this looks like you said, very. He was going to need something extraordinary in order to lead them people, and he had it. God had given him the Spirit, but
he lost faith. He started to. But then he almost, to me, it seemed like he started questioning God, because if you're like, they were just on him, they wanted flesh.
Exactly.
But he said, you give the manna.
Yeah, now let's discuss this a little bit here. When we are one of the things that the disadvantages we have in interpreting Scripture is that we're reading it and we don't know the depth of the Hebrew language. I'm going to say Hebrew because it's interpreted from the Hebrew. Just like if somebody doesn't know English well, they're not going to understand a lot of things you say. And I'm going to give you an example. Hopefully I can think of one. When somebody says to you, oh, don't sweat it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means. It's a slang. Oh, don't worry about it. When it says, let me think of another one in English, that doesn't make sense. Don't sweat it. I mean, somebody hearing English would say, don't sweat? You don't want me to sweat? Because when I'm studying Hebrew, a lot of times, they'll give us a phrase in Hebrew and you try and translate it literally and you say, it means that. And I say, no, it doesn't mean that. Another one in English. Oh, don't hate on me.
Yeah.
That's about the craziest. I mean, what does that mean?
Don't be a player.
Don't be a player. All that. So imagine if you weren't an English speaker and somebody's coming up to you with all these things. You would say, what the heck are you talking about? But in my commentary, and I've heard this before, but and maybe because I read my commentary, they call, and we talked about this before, a euphemism. A euphemism is a way of saying something that it's not necessarily translated exactly the way the words come out. And we talked about when they were at the making the golden calf, that what they were really doing is doing some really nasty stuff. It didn't say that necessarily. I think what was the phrase they used, and I'm forgetting the phrase now, but they used a phrase that's used throughout the Bible. I think it was used when Ham uncovered Noah's nakedness. Well, it doesn't mean it means something sexual, and it means something bad sexual. So here, the translators are saying what they were asking for is not really meat. That they were asking for, it said a euphemism for sexual license. Because you remember when they were doing all that mess with the golden calf, and also these are people that God is taking out. He has to reintroduce himself and tell him there are certain things you don't do. You don't follow after the pagan practices. You don't use sexual stuff when you're worshiping God. I don't want you to use it. And so just think of this. He's got like a brand new baby. And the only thing they know is pagan practices. So what are they going to do? They're going to want the stuff that they had back in Egypt. And it wasn't just meat. It wasn't just eating meat and quail. They were really talking about the sinfulness that they were doing then, and my commentary said it's a euphemism for sexual misconduct. Oh yes, yes,
They don't want to give it up.
yes. It wasn't just about eating quails, and so that's why God. You would think, well, why is God angry with them? Because they want to eat some meat. They want remember a lot of times too in the pagan temples, they always are eating. But along with the eating, it's sexual stuff. Eating and sexual stuff. So when you hear them talking about eating, it goes along with the sexual stuff. So that's the reason why this is such a. You can see why God would get angry.
That's what he said.
Yeah, and maybe he there's a scripture, John, I don't know if you remember. They said in the end times. And I think we're at that point. Things were to become so bad if people wanting to do what they want to do, God will turn them over to a reprobate mind. Reprobate means this, what they're doing. That God basically said, you want that? You got it. You got it. I'm giving it to you. And we know that if God allows us to do certain things. I just read just a couple of days ago, they said that, and this is something I thought was done away with when I was growing up, syphilis. They said it's made a big comeback. And why do you think that is? Because people are doing the same stuff and probably even worse. Exactly. And so you get, and the result of doing sinful stuff is sin. And so that's it. Yeah, exactly. And so this is a big thing here. And again, we have to remember that again. A lot of times when they're talking about something just so simple as eating, no, it's something much deeper. It's something much deeper. And then, can you imagine them complaining about wanting to return to that kind of behavior? The same thing they did with the golden calf. Can you imagine? It's probably the same thing that happened at the golden calf where they were complaining. Says, where is this Moses who brought us out of Egypt? You know, where is he? And they start doing this nasty stuff. So this was when I saw this, I said this is only the beginning, because here it is, and I'm going to have a little sympathy with poor Moses. This is what Aaron probably had to contend with when Moses is up on the mountain. And they're saying to him, where is this Moses? And he says, okay, I'm going to make this golden calf. Here is the God who brought you out of Egypt. And then they start doing, it seems like they're kind of on their way back to doing that again. So some things never seem to change, it looks like.
They know they could get over on me.
But to Moses' credit now, I guess he turned it over to God very out, and he said, God, and God said, well, that's what you want, have it. Like you said, here it is. And but God, this right, this is chilling. He said the meat was still between their teeth, and they had yet chewed it when the anger of the Lord blazed forth against the people and struck the people with a very severe plague.
You know how when people, like, you have some people like when they hoard food,
Yes.
it's in their mouth, they have so much stuff in their mouth, they can't even swallow.
Yes.
That's what it was
That
like.
is like, and here it is. Here it is.
They didn't know what to do with it.
No.
They couldn't get out of their
No.
mouth, but it just packed in.
Just there. And the fact that he sent another plague like he did for the golden calf. He sent a plague for sin. This is the result of sin. This is what you get. You want it? You said you want to do this? Fine. But the consequences of that is this. And again, and it doesn't get any better. It just goes downhill. John, you were trying to say something?
I know.
Oh. And I like verse 23 when it says, when Moses is questioning, God said, you going to have enough meat to give them? You know, you're going to have to take all the meat that we have in the camp. God says, I'm God. I'm God. And that's what we have to remember, I think, in these days to come, that God is well able to take care of us. That we don't have to depend on anybody else. He has proved himself time and time again. He is God. And anybody else who says that they can do what he can do is a liar, and we don't need to listen to them. They can't do it because they're not God. So here God said, I'm well able to provide all the meat they could choose. And he did it. And the verse I was talking about before, I love this. In verse 35 of 10, I believe it's 10. 35 of 9, I'm sorry. Yeah, 10, I'm sorry. And it says, when the ark was set out, Moses would say, advance, O Lord, may your enemies be scattered, and may your foes flee before you. And when it halted, he would say, return, O Lord, You are Israel's myriads of thousands. They and I think in Second Chronicles, either First or Second Chronicles, when they're going out to fight, the first thing they send out are the singers and the praisers and the Levites. That's who goes before the army. When David went to fight Goliath, he said, I'm coming in the name of the God of Israel. And he had 5-foot smooth stones. So the God of Israel is more powerful than anything. He's more powerful than Goliath was with a big sword, because David killed him with his own sword. So that's the God we worship, and we have to remember that. But said, may advance, O Lord, may your enemies be scattered, and may your foes flee before you. That's what we have to remember in these last days in which we're in. All right, we go to the last part. Would you like anybody have anything else to say before we go to the last part? The last part closes out this of prophecy and punishment. And it says, when they were, and this is from Numbers 12, 1 through 16, when they were in Hazeroth, Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman he had married. He married a Cushite woman, they said. Has the Lord spoken through Moses? Has he not spoken through us as well? The Lord heard it. Now Moses was a very humble man, more so than any other man on earth. Suddenly the Lord called to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, come out, you three, to the tent of the meeting. So the three of them went out, and the Lord came down on a pillar of cloud, stopped at the entrance of the tent, and called out Aaron and Miriam. The two of them came forward, and he said, hear these my words. When a prophet of the Lord arises among you, I make myself known to him in a vision. I speak with him in a dream. Not so with my servant Moses. He is trusted throughout my household. With him I speak mouth to mouth, plainly, and not in riddles, and he beholds the likeness of the Lord. How then did you not shrink from speaking against my servant Moses? Still incensed with them, the Lord departed. As the cloud withdrew from the tent, there was Miriam stricken with snow-white scales. When Aaron turned toward Miriam, he saw that she was stricken with scales. And Aaron said to Moses, O my Lord, account not to us the sin which we committed in our folly. Let her not be as one dead who emerges from his mother's womb with half his flesh eaten away. So Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, O God, pray heal her. But the Lord said to Moses, if her father spat in her face, would she not bear her shame for 7 days? Let her be shut out of camp for 7 days, and then let her be readmitted. So Miriam was shut out of camp 7 days, and the people did not march until Miriam was readmitted. After that, the people set out from Hazeroth and encamped in the wilderness of Paran. And this says it all. I mean, God, and when you read it, to see what special relationship that Moses had with God, so special that God said, I speak plainly to him, I don't speak in riddles. I mean, and yet they still had enough nerve to come against the man who God spoke so plainly to. That was just so amazing that God, it's just so amazing. That special relationship. God gives us just a little bit of the spirit that he gave some of the 70 elders so that we could be able to converse with him, not in riddles, like he said, speak mouth to mouth plainly. Anybody else have any issues?
I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's speaking us plainly.
Well,
but he said
I asked
to Moses. I think, well, maybe Miriam's the bad guy here, and Aaron was just listening to her. Maybe perhaps he should have said something different. But I think two things. They were trying to embarrass
Yeah.
Moses
Yeah.
and find fault with him for marrying, one said Ethiopian, one said Egyptian
Mm-hmm.
woman. So they must have had something against this lady. So I think they were trying to embarrass Moses and question his authority,
Yeah.
and pretending that they were equal to Moses, and they were equal to Moses, and God said, no, you're not equal to Moses. You know, Moses has a higher, Moses did not have a different relationship than anyone else. So, yeah, they tried to embarrass Moses, and God didn't stand for it. Now, it was a little. I did write the thing that Aaron intervened on behalf of his sister,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking that Christ intervenes on our behalf. Yeah. Do we talk against God, find fault with God? Yeah, of course we do. But Aaron, I guess, to speak to his credit, he did intervene on behalf of his sister.
Intervene, and he didn't go directly to God.
Right.
He went to Moses. He begged Moses' pardon first, and
Sure.
asked Moses to intervene for.
It's like he's going to Moses and folks like that. Forgive him.
Exactly.
We
It's
go
like
through
a
Jesus.
second hand, like a second hand man.
Exactly. Well, that's all he could, because God was, was a little angry with Aaron. So I think he figured he better go through Moses.
Yeah.
So that's it. I like that, John. You just said that.
Actually, Aaron would have to go. You know, his sister was on death's door,
Yeah.
and he couldn't wait for God to talk to him in a dream. He had to go.
He had to go through a man who God talked mouth to mouth with.
He needed a quick intervention.
A mouthpiece. Is
Yeah,
this it?
exactly. Very, very quick. Because Miriam was dying. So.
But I like what you just said also too, that about Jesus, that he is our intercessor. That's who we go through. There's no other one who could get to God like Jesus.
Right.
Because he's at his right hand, so you don't mess around. Nobody else. There's nobody else. Ain't no sense in trying to say, no, you can't even name anybody who's like Jesus.
Like a right hand man.
Tell me about it. Yeah. Say, I need to get to God right away, and I know how to do that. Jesus, right in his right hand. I'm not going to try any prophet or whatever. Jesus. So yes, that's it. That's the lesson for us, that Jesus is the way to the Father. And
At least he has sense to know that Moses was that.
now that's true. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I said Moses is pretty close to him, so let me talk to him. Yes. I like that. That showed maybe a sense of that he repented.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Say, I'm repenting. I'm going to somebody who can talk directly to God. I ain't taking any chances.
Mhm.
So that's a good thing. And we know who our adversary is, who our advocate is, that we can go to Jesus and we can get an answer. That's why we need him to be able to get to God, because again, the reconnection has happened, but not like in the Garden of Eden. We're still going through that, and our intercessor, our intermediary is Jesus, who's trying to get things as they were at the beginning. So,
Trying to reconcile us
back to the Father. That's what this is all about. We've been separated for so long, where he's only talked to us in riddles and dreams and visions, and to have a relationship with him where he spoke mouth to mouth with Adam. To have that relationship with him.
back.
But we do through the personage of Jesus, or Yeshua HaMashiach. And that's how we are reconciled back to him. We don't have to get any bulls and get the blood or whatever. The blood has already been shed for us so that we could go directly to the Father. And may we use him in these days to come. May we bow before him. May we go before the Son. Because we will need the Father's attention. We will need him. We will need to be in his bosom in these days to come. Anything else? Okay, very good table talk. And our next Shabbat, the Parsha, I'm just going to read it from the Shalach. And, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. Shalach. Let me, Shalach lecha.
What's your sin? What's your sin?
Yeah, to sin. That's exactly right. And to sin who? This is the interesting thing. They're being sent to spy out the land. So that's in Numbers 13, verse 1 through chapter 15, verse 41. And it says, Ve'yedaber Adonai el Moshe lamor shalach lecha anashim ve'yitro et eretz Canaan asher ani notan lebnei Israel ish echad lemate avtav tishlahu kol nesi behem. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, send men to scout the land of Canaan, which I am going to give to the Israelite people. Send one man from each of their ancestral tribes, each one a chieftain among them. So Moses, by the Lord's command, sent them out from the wilderness of Paran, all the men being leaders of the Israelites. And then it names who they were. This is going to be very pivotal because this is this explains a lot of things, but it also has God showing them the land, sending them to scout out the land. All right, anything else before we? It's a very good table talk. And we pray that as we go on, that we will continue to do it as God has commanded us to do, and remembering the seventh day and partaking of a meal with the Lord on the seventh day with the bread and with the wine. I had an incident with the bread. I'll tell you this because I had bought 2 loaves last week. No, the week of the reunion. And I said I wasn't going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you this story. So I bought 2 loaves, and normally I make it, but I didn't have time to make it, so I bought 2 loaves from Publix. So one we used, and one we did not use. And so I said, well, I'm a little lazy. I'll start making the bread the next week, and I'll use that loaf. Well, let me tell you, like the scripture said when they were supposed to gather the manna, they gathered enough for the 6th day, and then they have enough for the 7th. Well, that bread molded. So I won't do that again. I mean, it's like God said, it lasted as long as it was supposed to. Should have thrown it away or give it to the birds or whatever. And so, put it in. Well, that would have been a good thing. Put it in the freezer. That would have been a good thing. Because I have done that before when a bakery I used to use, they were closing for the like 2 weeks vacation. I would get some and put in the freezer. But in terms of, anyway, it was a lesson for me. But anyway, I'm admitting it. So I got fresh bread this time, fresh bread. But again, and you use it up. And within the time period he says, but anyway, for a special time, that we commemorated the 7th day, and we pray that God will bless what we've done here. Pray that he will be with us today to show us his face, to speak with us face to face. Just ask him. and that you will have a wonderful week, a wonderful Shabbat Shalom, and meet again to remember His seventh day again next week. Anything else? There's a song, we usually sing a song, and the one I want to sing, you probably don't know it, and I don't have all the words, so we just sing one that we know all the words to, and join in. Very simple. Amen. 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 One more time. Amen. 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 Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay.